last night saw Arsenal get another win, this time in the Champions League. It was a 4-0 thrashing of Atletico Madrid. Overall, it's been a very impressive start to the season. So surely a trophy has got to be on the cards this season. Joining me to talk about it more is former Arsenal player Perry Groves. Perry, good to speak to you.
What are you doing? All good?
I'm all good. Yeah. We Arsenal, since returning to the Champions League in the 23-24 season, they've won all 9 of their home group games, scoring 27 goals, haven't conceded. That is some impressive consistency, isn't it? And Arsenal looked so clinical last night, especially in that second half, didn't they?
I think what it is a belief that we belong there. Obviously, last season when the format changed, obviously into the league format, where we get in obviously the top 8, get into semi-finals, where we had a lot of injuries. Obviously, we had Saliba out injured. Obviously, Kai Havertz was injured. Bukayo Saka was injured. So I think even getting that far last season gave these players the belief that actually we belong at this level. And I think that actually then transmits itself to the opposition, because even last night where the game was tight for the first 50 minutes, we'll talk about obviously the chances, obviously Atletico had as well before us. But then we went in front, then the opposition think, we ain't going to score 2. And when you're playing, you get that feeling that the opposition are like, to be fair, Atletico, then they came out, and because they came out and had to press, then we had the players, obviously, with the high technique qualities, like Lewis-Skelly, who can take advantage of those little spaces that then become available because the opposition have to come at you.
You mentioned Miles Lewis-Skelly there. He's had to bide his time a little bit, Ricardo Calafiore being the go-to left-back for Mikel Arteta. In the starting 11 last night, looked good. We know that Thomas Tuchel has spoken about how you can't just be, good for the camp. You've got to be getting your minutes to get on the plane to the World Cup. Now, it's still very early on in the season. Arteta's spoken about squad rotation. So do you believe that he's going to get enough game time?
Yeah, because obviously as the season gets into the middle part and the latter part, you're going to have to use the strength of your squad, which we have.
Yeah.
So, and I think there'll be games that Arteta will change tactic. The reason that he played last night is Calafiore has been brilliant at the beginning of the season. He gives you physicality, he gives you a presence at the edge of the box. But Miles Lewis-Skelly then comes into that inverted midfield position where he gives you more control of the game. That's why he played last night, because he knew that Real Madrid would go to that. They call it a mid-block these days, basically defending in your own half. So they go 4-4-2. So Lewis-Skelly goes in there and he gives you an overload in midfield. And we saw with the goal, because Atletico Madrid had to press, he is brilliant at taking it in tight spaces. Sometimes the fans actually think, oh no, it's too, but it's the risk to reward. And what it is because he's got upper body strength, which is natural, and he knows that uses his body, and I call him the owl's head, where he twists his head around, and he knows what's coming in, whether it's from his left or from his right. And last night, he knew it was coming from his right, and then you see him spin to his left-hand side and take it with his left foot and spin away. But then he's got that little bit of acceleration where with the ball, he can accelerate, and you could see he left 3 or 4 Atletico Madrid players in his wake. And then when he gets edge of the box, after that run, which in the first half we weren't actually executing the pass properly. You think, can you pick the right pass? And the pass with the outside of his left foot, it's the pace of the pass. It says to Martinelli, you're going to hit this first time. He makes up Martinelli's mind. So as long as he will get his minutes, he ain't going to play every game. Thomas Tuchel will 100%. He should be England's left back.
Starting.
For any show, because I've always said I like a left back to be left footed, because it gives you better angles anyway instead of coming inside. But when you play the better sides, he can then come in and play in the midfield position, which then enables another player to then go and take that chances going forward. So he gives loads of options when you're playing in at left back. And he was excellent last night.
Yeah, he was. And, you look at Arsenal overall, only 2 sides, they're one of only 2 sides that are yet to concede a goal in this season's Champions League. Inter Milan are the other side, only conceded 3 goals in all competitions. Their defence in general is so important. People talk about it a lot, but it's got to be up there with one of the best in Europe.
Yeah, I think, again, what happens is you get an aura about you, and teams know that you're difficult to break down. If I'm being perfectly honest, Last night we got away with a couple. There was an instance in the first half where David Raya should be clearing up the line and it goes out for throw on. They take a quick throw on Simeone to Alcaraz and he should score, but he doesn't bend it with his left foot. There was another instance where we had a corner where Simeone was on his own in the centre of the pitch, where you've got to be more aware and get someone back to mark him. David Raya's starting position was brilliant where he boots it out of play and Alvarez hits the crossbar. When it's 0-0, Alvarez hits the crossbar. 2 minutes later, we get a free kick, which probably isn't a free kick. Declan Rice has a brilliant delivery. Gabriel goes 1-0 up. But what we're very good at, once we go 1-0 up, there's no panic.
No turning back.
No, exactly. Because against Fulham at Craven Cottage, normally you can go 1-0 up. Normally in the last 10 minutes of games, because you're only 1-0, you get a bit tense and you drop a bit deeper. That doesn't happen. But that's because, obviously, the back four are unbelievably well drilled. There's a trust between David Raya and Gabriel and Saliba. But all midfield players work. Bukayo Saka gets himself back. Martinelli was last night, gets himself. Eze goes as a front two with Gyökeres. Gyökeres closes down. So every player does their job because they know that you need to work that hard to get that advantage. And when you go 1-0 up, you can see the opposition players just drop a little bit and think, well, he ain't scoring two. So that is a fantastic weapon to have.
You mentioned Victor Gyökeres there. There's been a lot of debate about him. You've got some people that are sceptical and they laugh and they think he's been a flop because he's not scoring the same amount of goals as someone like Erling Haaland. You know, it was 3 goals in the first 4 games. Then he failed to score for 7. But others believe that probably watch him a bit more closely, that it's more about him helping the team overall. He's improving other players. Arteta's touched on it, and it seems like he's starting to grow in confidence. And I wanted to ask, the 2 goals last night, do you think that perhaps ease some of the pressure, and what have you made of him in general?
The first goal last night obviously was scruffy, and he didn't go like crazy in his like celebration.
Yeah,
it was more relief. It was like, because he knows it will take the pressure off. But his 2 goals last night, the one that obviously he's in the 6-yard box where he turns and he gets a bit of a deflection, and the one that he scores at the far post, we don't score them last season because we don't have a player in the 6-yard box. There was loads of times last season where we was fizzing balls across 6-yard box and we didn't have a natural centre, because Mourinho was playing up there. Understandably, he doesn't go in between the posts. Gyökeres does. So that's how you're judged. Though the ugly goals, you know, the scrappy goals. I don't care how they go in. I'm not bothered. I don't care. And you saw with his celebrations of his teammates how much that he means to them. Do you know what I mean? Because they all like, because they knew the pressure that he's under. Yeah,
they wanted him in that moment to enjoy it, especially with the
and they get. I was talking to someone earlier about, he engages centre halves, he gets in the channels. He got the free kick, which actually wasn't a free kick, but he got the free kick for the first goal for Declan Rice to bend the ball in. But what he does is he gives other players more space. Bukayo Saka last night, and Atletico Madrid are very well drilled. They go 4-4-2, and then they have the wide left player to come and go 2v1. But because Gyökeres occupies the 2 centre halves, a centre half can't get across and make a 2v1 against Saka. Timber comes in and plays more of a midfield player. So then the player that's going to go and has to mark Timber. So Bukayo Saka gets more 1v1. So it's just a noise because he's not elegant. What he is, he's physical, and he's learnt his trade in the Championship, like for Coventry City. If you can handle, and you've seen the Championship, you've seen how physical it is.
100%. You can handle that.
You can handle the Championship, but what he's got to handle is coming into our expectations are higher, but the tactical side, you have to take more on board, but the pace is quicker. You have to think quicker, you have to react quicker, and it's all about gelling. And at the minute, obviously we're like top of the Premier League. We haven't conceded in the Champions League phase, and I think we're 3rd at the moment, like obviously winning 3 out of 3. And there's still another level or 2 levels for this team to go, because everybody is still getting used to each other and gelling in. So if you'd said to Arsenal fans at the beginning of the season, after those first 7 games, which were unbelievably difficult, that you'd be either second or top, you'd have snapped your hands off. But now what we've got to do is, now you're top and it's in your hands, you got to make sure then you kick on, because everybody's looking at the next 4 or 5 fixtures and going, oh, they're going to win them. It doesn't work like that in the Premier League. They're the games that we, like Fulham, they're the games we were drawing last season. So you got to make sure you take advantage of the position you put yourself in.
Do we have to look at Arsenal as serious contenders in Europe this season.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we started off so well. If you went through it, you'd say who has got a realistic chance to win it? PSG, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, ourselves. You wouldn't count Man City out of it because obviously on a two-legged basis. So you're in that group, and that is the elite of the elite. And what you got to make sure is, I say, I love the league phase. I think there's miles more jeopardy in it.
I agree. I enjoy it more.
Yeah, and in the last round last season, people forget PSG had to win that game to get themselves into even the 16, and they had to play a last 16 game before they got to the next round. PSG lost 5 games last year in the Champions League. So you've got to make sure if you can, you get in the top 4, because then that gives you the advantage later on in the draw, because you know that you can play all of your first legs away from home. But then you hope that through qualification, if you can get qualified a game or 2 games early, then you can then start to rest players and give players sort of more minutes. But you'd be in the top 5 of the teams that got realistic chances of winning it.
Now, finally, you talk about Arsenal. You're going to talk about set pieces. They scored another one last night. 10 goals now from set pieces this season, excluding penalties. Now, considering everyone is now putting an emphasis on scoring from corners, free kicks, we've got the long throw-ins. Are Arsenal benefiting from maybe being a bit of ahead of the curve with the tactical trends? And do you ever worry that they're too over-reliant on it?
No, because what happens, you are allowed, it does my head in when they go, you only scored from a free kick. We are allowed to.
Yeah,
it is
scored,
in football, it is allowed.
And
9 times out of 10, it means that you've been on the front foot and you've got a corner because you're taking shots, or you're getting blocks, or the goalkeeper's made a good save, or you're getting fouled in the wide positions. And I think this is... because I come from a team that we were brilliant at set pieces. We practice and practice and practice. It was like robotic all the time. But what happens is it all depends on the delivery, and the delivery of Declan Rice is probably the best in the Premier League, maybe in Europe as well. Same as Bukayo Saka, obviously from the right-hand side of his left foot. But then what happens is teams then panic a bit because they know how good that we are at set pieces and free kicks. So then, and I love the way it's very orchestrated, because when we're taking the free kicks, we take our time, because what you want is, you know that the defenders are concentrating, but you take that tendency. There's loads of times the referee goes, hurry up, take the free kick. And Declan Rice is like, no, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Because they want you then to just drop in your concentration levels, and that's where you take the advantage. So, and then what happens, what we saw last night, is we score the first goal from, obviously, Declan Rice going for it. Then the opposition, then you go 1-0 up. Then they have to come a bit further up the pitch. Then you have the players that then can take advantage of the gaps that appear because you've scored from a set piece. So it is, it is allowed. There's a bit of a snobbery. And who'd have thought that all of a sudden, and someone had made a career out of a long throw, long throws are on vogue.
I know. Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought it?
It's back.
No one knew that Lewis-Skelly had a long throw.
I know. It's amazing. And I love that. And I think that's one of the great things about Arsenal, like I say, is that you've almost been, you've kind of earmarked things and seen things before everyone else is kind of realising it now. So I think definitely ahead of the curve. Finally, my last question. Martinelli scored a really good goal last night. Is he back in form this season? Do you think he should be starting more regularly? Or again, is this a case of Arsenal have got the squad depth finally and they need to rotate, and Arsenal are going to be in every competition, I think, until towards the end. So there's going to be enough rotation there, surely. Or do you think he needs a little bit more time on the pitch?
Every player wants to play every minute of every game. Every player wants the player that you're fighting your position for to get a slight injury. Not a bad one.
I like the
not a bad one. Not like pulling your hamstring.
Not like career ending.
No, just maybe a little calf,
little twinge,
little twinge, or a little twinge, a week or two out. So every player, no one will admit it, but you do, right? And also, when you're playing, you don't want normally that player to play very well because you think I want to come on, right?
Yeah.
But the level, the camaraderie this group has, I don't think there's this feeling that you don't want that player to play with, because you need to win games. But what you have to be at a level now. You have to be at a level.
It's a real standard
to get yourself. So on the left-hand side, whether it is Martinelli, whether it's Trossard, whether it's Eze can play that side, Madueke can play that side. So you got to make sure that when you're in, that your levels don't drop. And if you're not in, that you're ready to cut. And that's exactly what Martinelli's done. You know, he's done it obviously we've seen him do it in the Champions League. Last night's finish was superb, but that suits him because he's right-footed, playing left-hand side, so he can bend it in. I think he's getting better in 1v1s and going on the outside more, because I think last season he was cutting inside too much, so he's had to add that to it. So what happens is as well, when they say about players coming in, it doesn't keep it actually ups the level.
Yeah.
You look at Lewis-Skelly, who was brilliant last season. He knows full well he's got to find another level, because Calafiori is always a 7 or 8 out of 10. So then you sink or swim.
You raise your game.
Yeah. So if you don't, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's that brutal at the top level. So that's where we are with the drop off. There's no drop off in the squad. Nwaneri comes on last night and plays really well for 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So you've even now on the depth, people forget we've got Kai Havertz to come back. We've got Jesus to come back. Obviously, Hincapi was on. We've got Madueke to come back. Max Dowman, who is like the protege, wasn't on the bench last night. Was on the bench obviously for on Saturday. So there's levels you have to go even to be an impactor because of that that squad depth. So and Martinelli has proven he's gone up a level from last season.
Well, there you have it. It's a very good time to be an Arsenal fan. Yes. Perry, thank you so much for joining me. Let us know in the comments what you think. Is this finally going to be Arsenal's year? Don't forget that this video is in association with our own bookie, TalkSport Bet. Download the app or head to talksportbet.com if you want to get involved. 18+, T's and C's apply. BeGambleAware.org.